Okay. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to session 2 of Let's Build a Financial Literacy Resource Bank. And we're excited to get going on going further with the development of our content for our glossary by taking what you did between week 1 and 2, and now moving on to building our glossary slides, which is the actual glossary itself, along with some of the other resources that we'll be pulling together in session 3. So today's outline, welcome and housekeeping, and then a big focus today is going to be on finding and using images. Our EdTech makerspaces are intended to help not only produce content that becomes openly available to everybody, but as part of that process, it's called service learning, learning about different aspects of resource creation, about open education resources, content licensing, and or how to integrate skills and other things into the resources that we develop. And so a big part of our glossary is to have visuals that go with each of these words. In order to do that, we need to learn about proper licensing and proper use of images that are freely available. And so that's going to be a focus that Mary will be covering today. And then you'll have time to actually dive into your slides, which Mary shared earlier today, and start adding images and finding images that are relevant to the terms within your particular topic. So that's the crux of what we're going to be doing today. Again, today is only 90 minutes, as with last week's. We recognize that some groups, but it looks like most groups were able to get done most of the work that was assigned after session 1. As a reminder, it was to write sentences and find pronunciation links for each of the terms that you as a group selected within your topic, as well as to look through the explanation resources from the various sites that we talked about last session, as well as select readings and vocabulary sets from Learning Chocolate that are relevant specifically to your topic. Most groups have been able to do that. Even if you were not able to do that, that's okay. There's time between now and the next session, the third session, which is on the 29th, for you to pull all that together, as well as the images, which is part of what we're doing today. But we don't want you to fall too far behind, and we certainly don't want folks to get lost in this process. We want everyone to be successful. And so between now and our next session, so next week on Thursday, we'll be holding an open office hours where you can drop in to ask any questions, for us to show you tips and tricks on any of the things that you're being asked to do, or for us to just kind of work together if you prefer to kind of have time set aside in a collaborative setting for you to do the work in building your glossary slides, which is basically everything that we're going to be doing in these first 2 weeks is related to building those slides. So this will be held at the same time, but just 1 hour from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. And then after our next session, where you're going to learn about the tool that you're pulling everything together, we'll have another open office hours. And we're always available to set up times to meet with you if you need additional help or assistance on anything. Feel free to ask. Again, our goal is for everyone to be successful. So moving on. And just to kind of recap where we're going with this, because I think this is really important. What you've been doing since the first session is building out your topic workbook. So that includes selecting the words, adding the sentences, adding the pronunciation links, and then selecting the readings and the vocabulary sets that are relevant to your topic. From that work that you did between session 1 and today, you are now going to start building your glossary slides. So the glossary slides will include those definitions and the term and the sentences that you wrote and the links to the pronunciation. And as I said a moment ago, also will include images that you will start finding today and will be spending time finding between now and the next session. Those other materials that you selected are all going to go into a topic collection that is a wakelet. And so the slides are going to be one of the resources in your topical wakelet, along with the readings, the explanations from things such as FDIC and Consumer Finance Protection Bureau and practical money skills. All of those materials are going to go into these topical collections so that our resource library is going to be built by you to include all of these materials to help instructors, tutors, and learners develop skills in these particular financial literacy topics that you're working in. And so we are not quite halfway there, but we certainly will be once these slides are completed by the next session. So moving on. I think, Mary, you're taking over from here.
I am. It looks like we've got some more people in the waiting room. It's not giving me the admit button for some reason, but all right, we're going to start talking about images. And we're sure that many of you have your favorite resources already for finding images. And we'd love for you to share those in the chat, because these makerspaces aren't just for you guys to learn, they're for us to learn. So we always find out new things during them, and we can dive into those and learn more about them. So please feel free to share in the chat your favorite resources, and we'll circle back around to that in a minute. So today we are going to share a lot of information about images, but we also wanted to give you some resources that you can come back to in addition to today's recording. So in Google Classroom, on your classwork page, under Project Info, look for the pink brain there. That is skill blocks of skill blockses. And I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So that's our skill blocks of skill boxes, and you can see all of the topics that are covered in this giant skill blocks. So one of the topics is finding and inserting images. That's the one that you can find a direct link to right here, or you can get to the big skill blocks inside of Classroom.
Yeah, you don't look like you for a while. Did you just?
Okay, thank you. So finding and inserting images has a lot of great resources. So check that out. A lot of you always want to know more, so feel free to dive into that. One of the resources in there is wonderful. It was developed by Crowded Learning and Rachel Riggs during our digital skills glossary makerspace earlier this year. And I just want to open it for a minute and show you how pretty this is. So this is the guide to the guide. It tells you about how to use it, how to go about it. Also refers you to a skill blocks. It covers images, application icons and logos, and screenshots. It has a lot of specific information about those sources, licensing information, how you can use the products. This was new to me, learning about using the icons or screenshots even from Google and Microsoft products. So a lot of good information there that you can refer to. So thank you, Crowded Learning and Rachel, for doing that last time. That was great. So image resources, let me look in the chat and see which ones. Pixabay, we're going to be working with that. Unsplash, yes. Noun Project, we're probably, for the kind of project we're doing this time, you might not need Noun Project as much as maybe you did for other projects. So it looks like you guys are familiar with most of the ones that we're going to be. Okay. So image resources that we're going to be recommending that we at least start with. These three are very similar: Pixabay, Pexels, and Unsplash. They all provide royalty-free images that you can use at no cost. Now, the licensing is Pixabay licensing, Pexels licensing, and Unsplash licensing. So they're very similar. Pixels is a little different. All of the images in Pixels are public domain. Public domain means belongs to everybody. You can use those images, change those images. I want to back up to these two. These don't require attribution. That means you don't have to give credit to the creator, but it's appreciated. And so we want to do that. And we have a system set up for making sure that we do that. Then we have Wikimedia Commons. Wikimedia Commons is built by the people, right along with the heart of what a makerspace is about. Everybody contributes. So the images there might be public domain, or they might be Creative Commons licensing, which Jeff's going to share more information about in a few slides. Sometimes you just can't find the right image. I have found that to be true more working with some of the financial literacy terms than I did always the digital skills terms. And that's, you can be your own resource. You can take screenshots, you can take pictures, you can create a graphic directly on the Google slide. So remember that you are a good resource too. So when we're looking for images, we want to keep some things in mind. How can we best represent the term visually? So this is phishing. That was one of the terms that I had in the slide deck that Jeff and I worked on. And do you need just one image or icon? Originally, I had found this one. I really liked it because it was a cartoon, but the same week I found that, Jeff got a real live example of a phishing text on his phone. And so he took a quick screenshot and shared that as well. So sometimes it might be just one image you want to use. Sometimes it might be more than one image. What is going to support building understanding for the concept or the vocabulary that you're trying to share with learners? You want your images to be meaningful. When searching for an image, it's a good idea to consider the context of your sentence there. And just make sure there's a connection, because what you're doing is adding layers of understanding to build understanding. So this is one of the terms that was in my slide deck. And I have 3 images. I want you to try to look at them and think, which one would you choose if you were building this slide? Let's look at the sentence. One type of elder fraud is the sweepstakes scam. And actually, that's true. It's a big one in elder fraud. I didn't realize that till I started diving in looking for images for it. But I've got these 3 images numbered, and the one that you think would do the most to help build that understanding, put the number of that in the chat for us. That's number 1. That's number 2. And that's number 3. Let's see what you think. It looks like everybody's in agreement so far. 3. That's 3. And this one I created. I became my own resource for this one. I just couldn't find the image that I wanted. Some came close, but again, remember, you can be your own resource. And I just built that using shapes and text on a Google slide. Got one more for you. This one is unauthorized. And the sentence is, you need to report any unauthorized charges. So I've got 3 images again. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. So tell me what you think. Okay. Most everyone's saying 2. I think we have a lot of like minds here. Guys, I started with this one because it was a week when we were diving in and I was in a hurry. And that's the only thing that even to me came close. It's like, no, not allowed. It's unauthorized. But the more I worked on it, and had time later on, it's like, I think we can do better than this. So again, this was created just using shapes and different fonts and colors on a Google slide. Now, let me back up and say before Jeff takes over, all of my slides don't have images created by me. Those were just 2 examples that I wanted to share. I was able to find images for many of them Because some of you will be comfortable doing this and some not. If that's the case, you find the image that works best for you. All right, Jeff.
Okay, and so Mary created a couple images there on her own, as with the screenshot, that obviously is my own work. And so in doing so, she may or may not decide that she wants to attribute or get attribution for it. I think on the screenshot I took, I just called it public domain, which was one of the things that Mary mentioned is a type of licensing. It falls under a broader set of licenses called Creative Commons licensing. And there are different types of Creative Commons licensing that are available for content creators. And the reason we really like using Creative Commons licensing is because when something is Creative Commons licensed, it lets people know who are seeing your creative works, whether it be the slide decks that we're creating, the images within, the sentences that we're writing. All of those things it's original content. And by applying a license, a Creative Commons license, you can let people know what they can or cannot do with that particular piece of work. And so there's 4 icons that are used within the various Creative Commons licenses. One is attribution. And this is a baseline one that basically says you are free to use this however you want. You could take my image and modify it. You could take my image and put it into your own slides or into your own document. You could use these and sell this content in some way, shape, or form. That is okay, so long as when you are using this work, that you are providing attribution that this image or this set of slides or this text was originally created by me. And so that's the first icon. The second icon is share alike. I think that's the next one we have here. And share alike just means you are free to use this as you wish. Just repeat whatever license I applied to the original work. And that is important, particularly when we get into the next 2 licenses. The first one being non-commercial. So if I apply a non-commercial license to my work, that means that I, as the author, I'm allowing you to use this work. It may be that I'm asking you to credit me because I've also said I want attribution. But when I say non-commercial, that means you can use this, but you cannot use it and then make money off of whatever you're using it within. Some content, so Khan Academy is an example of that. Khan Academy offers its content. You have to attribute Khan Academy. But you can't use Khan Academy's, say, videos or problems within a product that you are then going to be making money off of. There are some resources that we recommend and use for math. There's a set of resources called FET, from the University of Colorado, and these are great simulations for math and science. These simulations are only Creative Commons licensed as attribution. So what that means is FET is saying, if you as a publisher, say, who are building an online math curriculum that you're going to sell, and you want to use this FET simulation in that product, you are free to do so. You just need to say that the simulation itself came from FET, because they have not applied a non-commercial license to their content. The fourth icon is no derivative works. So what no derivative works means is that you can't modify this in any way. So say we create our slides as part of this project, and we applied a no derivative works license to it. What that means is that if someone sees your slides on Credit Basics and they want to use it, and they can use it because we're going to apply a Creative Commons license, but say they wanted to remove some of the slides, or maybe they want to add terms that we did not put in that they feel are important, or maybe they want to modify the sentences because they work with a certain level learner and they want to increase the complexity or decrease the complexity. They're not allowed to do so because you've applied a no derivative works license. And we are not applying a no derivative works license. We are only doing attribution and share alike. So if we go to the next slide, this kind of shows the various combinations of those different icons as it applies to the different licenses that you could apply to a creative works. And this really goes from bottom to top of least freedom, which is something that's fully copyrighted, with no information about what you can or can't do with it, to the most freedom at the top of this is that you see the C with the line in it, that's public domain. That means you don't have to tribute me, you don't have to do anything, you can make money, you can modify it, you can do whatever you want. And when we look at these licenses on the right, the ones that have any of these combinations that don't include the no derivatives, those are what we call open education resources, because one of the caveats of something being an open education resource is that you are allowed to modify it or remix it as you see fit. So when someone applies a no derivative license to something, you are free to use it still, but you can't modify it. And that goes against the notion of something being open. So those are the different license types. And you'll see, particularly when you go into Wikimedia Commons, that there'll be different licenses applied to the images within that particular resource, because pretty much everything in Wikimedia Commons has a Creative Commons license of some sort.
Okay. This is like a little cheat sheet for you. We added it to your workbook, and it is on the tab that says image sources and examples, but you've got the links. It sounds like you guys have been using these resources already, but we provided the link for you, told you the kind of images that are available, whether or not attribution is required. And you can see it does say, but appreciated. So we are going to do that. Then the kind of license, because when you're recording your information, we're going to ask you in the workbook, what is the licensing there? And you can see these are very clear. Wikimedia Commons, you might have to dig in a little bit more. And then we also provided some verbiage here for if you're doing screenshots. These are words that Google and Microsoft want us to use. So for example, if I'm in Google Sheets and I take a screenshot, this would be the license information that I provide there. On that same tab, image sources and examples, we provided you with some examples of how different images based on their source would be documented inside of the workbook. Now, the nice thing about this is you fill in these white columns. There's a formula in this column that causes the citation to be created. So you don't have to worry about that. It'll do it, and then you copy it and use that one. And we'll demonstrate that. All right, we're going to take a look at several resources. So what I'm going to do is actually go to the source very quickly. This is Pixabay. This is the image. I just did ATM across the board. I'm going to click on the image, and all of the information that you need is right here. Here's your source. It's not real clear what the image name is on some of these sources, but some of them, it's right up here in the link. Okay, so that would be the name of your image. The creator is right here. When you enter the creator, you put the word by in front of it, just to make the citation read nicely. This is the URL that you would copy and put into the workbook. And then Pixabay, it's a Pixabay license. So that's where you find all the information you need on Pixabay. This one's very similar. It's Pexels. I thought I had it set to where, because this one's, thought I had it set to where the image was, but I must have moved it. No, there it is. I thought it was a funny image. They're on a ski slope and there's an ATM machine. But anyway, this one too, it's not real clear what the image name is, but this is a very long one. And I'm guessing, Jeff, it's okay if we condense it sometimes. Maybe you say men next to an ATM machine. The creator is Niall Roche. So you would put by in front of that and add that to your spreadsheet. This is the URL that you would copy, and you are actually in, which one are we in? We are in Pexels. So that would be the source. And Pexels is like Pixabay in that it is Pexels licensing. Unsplash is very similar. Going to click on this image. And these are the ones that I have done the examples for you in the workbook on that image sources tab. So you can remember, and plus you have slides that give you, I'll give you, well, we'll go back to that in a minute, but so this is the image for an ATM. This one, you've got the creator here, and you know it's Unsplash. And I'm trying to think. Oh, I want to point out, if you want to download the image, you can choose the size image that you want. Let's just click small. And it does give this, but we're trying to give a very consistent look to our all the information in the slide deck. So we're creating our citation a little bit differently. But when you are using this on your own, know that you can just copy this citation right here and plug it in. Then we have Pixels, which is public domain. And there's your link, there's your source. If you want to download here, you don't have any information about a creator, so you just leave that part blank. If you don't have the name of an image, just use the word image, okay? Wikimedia, a little bit different. Let's put in ATM. Because this one's different, we'll spend just a little bit more time on it. When I clicked on the image, this information box came up. You can get almost everything you need from this, but not quite everything. So you want to click on more details. Here's the name of the image, the creator, the kind of license that it is, its attribution and share alike. And you want to click on more details so you can get the URL to plug into the workbook. If you click on download or use this file, either one, you're going to get additional information, including the URL. And if you weren't sure, they used words to describe the Creative Commons license on the previous page. On this one, you can always find it like this. And this is the way that we'll code it in. You don't have to have the 4.0, but it is more specific because the license changes over time. You can choose the size that you want to download. All right, back to, I'm going to, that's going to go through really fast. Here are your slides that you can refer to for each one of those that we just did. Thought it would be better to show you from the website to help you see where you get your information. And on each one of those, it has the citation on the slide, so you can look back and find it. And your own images and screenshots. This is the one that Jeff did from his phone. And we have a formula for that too. Your source is a screenshot. I named this one Fishing. I think maybe, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's by Jeff Gumas, and he donated it to the public domain. So we're just spelling that out on the citation as well. So let me jump in right here to, this is the workbook that I worked on. And I just want you to know, I'm going to make some stuff up, but as I'm putting in the word, watch what happens. Let's see if I can, yeah. Watch what happens over here. I'm not sure why it's saying Wikimedia Commons there. Let's do it on this line. I'll just say image. We won't put a link right now. I'll put by, just for the heck of it, Mary Gaston. Use the word by, and then let's say that it's public domain, and it has directions in each column, but as you put the information in, you can look over here and see that the citation has been created for you. So later you just have to copy this and plug it into the workbook. I mean, plug it into the slide. That does not need to go in the workbook. This is the workbook. I'm sorry, guys. So do we have any questions? I think Jeff's gotten everything in the
Yeah, there were
chat.
a couple questions in the chat. And there's one that Kate had mentioned earlier that I asked her to pin until we came back. So the two questions were asked. If you can go to one of your image sources that you already have up. Yeah. So someone had asked, could I screenshot this and then crop it? Yes, that's technically something you can do, but the quality is always going to be diminished when you do that. So the best option for the images that you're going to insert into your slides is to either right click on the image in its full view and copy it, or you can save the image, but you could just copy and then paste it into your slides. That's going to give you a perfectly fine rendering of it. Or to save the image as or download via the site, you know, based on whatever options are provided on the various sites. So yeah, those copying it or saving it as / downloading, as opposed to taking a screenshot and then cropping that is the best approach. Now, Kate, you had asked a question about the Padlet, and I want to just make sure I understand what you were asking.
Okay, so I was thinking one of the resources, and I don't remember which, had a budget spreadsheet that you could download. And if I were to take a picture of that, could I do that because it's a really good budget spreadsheet? Or should I be looking in all of the other sources when I know that I've got one that really does what I want it to do, but it's from one of the sites on our Padlet?
So it really depends on which site. So if it's from Money Smart, which is the FDIC, or the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which very well may be, because I know both of those have like lots of great templates. It's public domain because those are government resources. So yes, you could do that, and you would just say this, you know, where it came from, and that's fine. If it's the other ones, I'd be hesitant, just because those are, you know, those are copyrighted materials. But I'm guessing it's probably, I know CFPB has some really good budgeting tools. So I would say consider this source. So FDIC or CFPB. And let me know if that's not it, because I've definitely got a bunch of other ones from other government sites that I know are out there that are budgeting tools.
I have a similar question. I found a picture of a budget sheet somewhere and I liked it, but then I wanted to make, so I basically made my own on Excel, but it is actually from that. Do I have to give them credit wherever it came from?
No, because like the elements of the budget are so common. Okay. It's really hard to say, oh, well, just because this has housing, food, incidentals, right, that it's theirs, right?
Okay.
Not original enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, I saw it somewhere, but then I wanted to make my own Excel spreadsheet so my students could work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mean yours wasn't original. I meant
Right.
the fact it being a budget spreadsheet. I think
Right.
that's really part of licensing, is that a creation does need to be somewhat original in order for a person, to say, this is mine. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, we are to group work 1, and of course, we're behind schedule. So, what we want you to do in work 1, we may have to shorten the time just a little bit. You're going to discuss your group progress. You might want to do that very quickly. Although I have to say, most groups, gosh, you knocked it out of the park. You got almost everything done. But if not, quickly talk about how you're going to complete the rest of the stuff from session 1. And there they are again. And then as a group, we want you to work together and find one image for one of your selected terms. Okay. Just working as a group, because some people have different backgrounds, different experience. Some people hear things that others didn't hear, and that way you can help each other. So after you find the image, just practice pasting it into your workbook. And we will be hopping around in rooms, checking on you guys to see if you need help, have questions, or if you want us to take a look at your workbook. And we are at 12:41. So what do y'all think? Let's try 12 minutes. Because you're going to have a longer one if we can catch up on time the second time that we break out. So let's do 12 minutes, and it's 12:41. And Zara is going to open the breakout rooms, and you will choose your topic. If you have not been assigned to a group yet, hang back. And I believe that Jeff is going to help you get assigned to a group. I don't know if we have any new ones. Everybody looks pretty familiar. So join your group, and we'll be diving into the rooms to check with you guys. Have fun.
Okay, student lessons. And these should be 100%, so start with number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Can everybody see the rooms popped up on your screen to join it?
I can't. I'm on an iPad, but I need to go to personal banking.
No.
Who was talking for personal banking?
Darlene.
Darlene, I'll send you.
And her.
I don't-
Brad, you go to Texas. Christine, where do you need to go? Maybe she's already gone. Evelyn, do I need to send you?
Yes.
Uh,
Setting financial goals.
All right.
Yeah, none of them are showing up.
Yeah,
So no.
right. Mary and I aren't seeing it, and we're going to the same place.
All right. Remind me, y'all are budgets and
Our
spending.
budget.
That's Mary and Kate. Where did you? Oh, Kate. Looks like you're there. Rosalind, where do you need to go? Lola, where do you need to go?
There's no one here besides me, so maybe I could just sit in on somebody's group and hear what they're doing.
Okay.
Hey, Mary, I have to leave. This is Karen. I
Uh-huh.
think I sent you the email. I have to take off for a medical appointment. I can't change. Maybe you could send her to my group because Evelyn's there by herself, I think.
Okay. Tell me which one.
Setting financial goals.
All
Yeah.
right. So I'm sending Karen there, and I can send Lola there.
Okay.
All right. I think that's got everybody.
Oh, I've been muted the whole time. Mary, sorry.
Oh,
I've been like answering your questions as you're talking. Are you gonna join Brad in taxes?
yeah, I'll go in there with him.
Okay.
He's doing fine. And then I'll hop around.
Nobody's in a couple of the rooms.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Like that's,
They didn't come.
yeah, there
Okay.
you go.
All right. Where's taxes?
All right, so I'm gonna hop into a couple groups. It looks like every group has like a strong person in it, so that's good.
All right, the glossary slide template. So like Jeff showed at the beginning, we've got all these different pieces. The glossary slide is where you're going to pick up a lot of that information from your workbook. Okay. The goal in having a template is we want it to look consistent from topic to topic. That's comforting, when you've got people pulling different slide decks because of different needs for financial literacy. It's good that there's a common look and feel across all of the slides. If you go to the classroom, session 2, you will see a folder that has our sample workbook and our sample slide deck. But you also have a link right here, direct link, that will take you to this sample that we put together. Okay. Just realized that I didn't go back and clean something up. So on this slide, you have the words. We have added those for you already. And you have the microphone icon that you're going to hyperlink. You're going to paste your definition, copy it from your workbook, paste it on the slide, copy the sentence that was written for that word, paste it on the slide. You're going to link to the pronunciation audio. You're going to add your image, and you're going to add the attribution. Okay. And we'll demonstrate it. Each slide deck, and by the way, yours are available in session 2, slide decks for groups. If I click on that, we have all of the slide decks there for you to find yours to work in. In that slide deck, we have 2 instruction slides for you. This is one of them. And this is important to understand the difference in pasting with formatting and pasting without formatting. So let's say I go to my workbook and I copy my definition. Then I come to the slide and I right click to bring up the shortcut menu, which looks like this. It's longer, but it looks like this. And you have 2 choices for pasting. When you choose paste, you're bringing the formatting in that workbook, which could be different for different groups. So you want to do paste without formatting. So when you come to the slide, you right click and you choose paste without formatting. And I forget sometimes, but you'll know as soon as you do it that you've forgotten, because it'll look something like this, or it may not have the white behind it, but it'll be dark print. And that's your sign. That's your sign. Hit the undo button and then paste without formatting. Okay, that's important to know. And that slide is in your slide deck for your group. All right, this one is also in your slide deck. So let's take a look at it. It has the directions. You don't have to do them in this order. This is just the order we're talking about them. It tells you, it has a reminder. Click here and paste without formatting. Click here and paste without formatting. Find and copy the link for the audio. Then you're going to select the microphone and you're going to go to the link and add a hyperlink, which we'll demonstrate. Then you're going to insert your image. And there's a couple, well, there's more than a couple different ways to add it, but here's some directions. You can always go to insert on your menu, choose image, and upload from the computer. Then you can either drag it onto the slide, or you can click on that image file and click open, and it will put it on the slide for you. After you get your image there, you're going to add alt text for images, which we'll talk about. And then the last thing is the citation. Same thing. You're going to copy it from your workbook, paste it into that text box without formatting, go back and pick up the image URL and hyperlink this to that. I see we have something in the chat. Do I need to slow down? What if we have 2 microphones? Yes, that's an excellent question. Some of you have 3. we have found that in these financial literacy terms, that very often you might have 2 or 3 words. So we have added multiple microphones in case you want to use them all. You may not need to, but I've looked in some of the workbooks and some of you have 3 links for a term. So you would link them in order, like you would read left to right for each one. That's only if you picked up multiple ones. If you did not find a pronunciation link, don't worry, just leave the microphone icon there. Designing for accessibility. We have some resources just like we did for finding, inserting images in the same skill blocks of skill blocks on the classwork page. And this right here is designing for accessibility, and we provided you with a direct link to get to that. So let's talk about something that you will read about when you're designing for accessibility, and that's using alt text. What is alt text? It's a description of an image or an object for those who cannot see the object. Alt text should be concise and focus on what needs to be communicated. Why did you use that image? What were you trying to communicate to the reader? For example, this is an image that I used. It's not important that they're in an aquarium or that's blue and they're green and this one has on a red hat. That's very detailed information, but not at all what I was trying to communicate with this. So if I want to add the alt text, what I do is I select the image, then I right click. Same as if you're about to paste something, same shortcut menu comes up and you choose alt text. This box pops up and you want to remember to try to be concise and focus on what needs to be communicated. This is probably the longest one that I've ever written, but I chose one that was a little more complicated. The most important piece is your description. This is what a screen reader would announce if it were reading a page. And also it's interesting to note that if an image doesn't load for some reason, then the alt text should be available for those who are trying to see the image. But you're trying to not leave anybody out and provide that descriptive information. Okay. And that may be something you want to come around and do at the end, after you've got your slides done. Maybe one of you's real good at it and wants to volunteer to do it for your group. That is up to you. Okay. So now I am going to quickly go through and demonstrate using the slide template. And of course I failed. Let's just duplicate. No. I was practicing and I forgot to go back and delete the stuff that I had entered. So now it's all gone. This is my slide template from my sample book, and I'm looking at the word scam. So if this were you, you would go to your workbook and go to the glossary tab. And I'm going to find the word scam. Here's the word scam. Here's the definition. I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to right click, copy, go to my slide, definition. I click in that text box, right click. Now I'm going to do this wrong, so you'll see what it looks like. I'm going to just do paste. See, that's not good. That's my sign. That's my sign that I go up here and hit undo. And I'm going to right click because it's still on the clipboard and do paste without formatting. Okay. Back to the workbook, copy my sentence, and I clicked in the cell, right clicked, copy, back to the slide, right click, paste without formatting. Now I need the link. I'm going to come right here. Now, when I hover over a cell that has a link in it, this pops up and it has this icon right here to copy the link. If you have 2 links in a cell like this one, you're going to have 2 pop up. So know that the one on top is going to be this one. The one under it is going to be this one. So I'm going to go back to scam and hover. I'm going to copy that link, I'm going to come to my slide. I'm going to select by clicking on it, that microphone icon. Going to come up here and choose insert link, or you could use Control K. I right click and paste my link in there and click apply. And now I have hyperlinked my icon. So now I need to add my image. I downloaded it earlier, so mine is living on my download bar, which makes it very easy. I can just drag it up there. The other thing you could do is go to insert, image, upload from computer, and find the file. And then you could just drag that file over, or you can select it and click open, and it will insert the image there. But I had mine on the download bar, so I'm going to drag it up. And when I do, it's too big, so I have to resize it. Now, when you resize an image, you don't want to grab a handle, these little handles here. You don't want to do it from one of the sides. Look what happens. It distorts it. So I'm going to click undo. I'm going to grab a handle in the corner, and that'll let me do it proportionately. I'm not sure. Then I'm going to drag it around till I find the center of the white space. And Google Slides has this great red line tools that pop up. Right now, I know I have it in the center left to right because I see, now I have it both. You see the red lines there. That's telling me right where it is. It's in the center top to bottom and the center left to right. The only thing I have left is the attribution. That's not on this glossary page. I'm going to have to go down here. And because I have my screen blown up a little bit, I'm going to have to use the scroll. So I'm going to scroll to the right and find images and attribution. I'm going to find one for scam. And there it is. I'm going to have to use my scroll bar and come over here to where the citation was created. I'm going to right click, copy, go to my slide, right click in that text box and paste without formatting. I need to hyperlink this. If there is a hyperlink, if you created it yourself, you're not going to have a hyperlink. So I'm going to come here, copy that hyperlink, go back to my slide. Now you can click and drag to select it. I like to do the 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, and the whole thing is selected. Go up and find my link, right click, paste, apply. And that's all there is to doing the slide, except for doing alt text. And what I did there was I selected the image, right clicked, and clicked on alt text. And I would just fill this in with the alt text. Okay. Time for group 2. We're at 108. And I think we'll probably be able to finish up in 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll give you until, let's say, 1:27 to work in your groups. And this is what we want you to do. As a group, complete at least 1 slide. If you weren't able to find an image before, you could use one of the examples in your workbook to at least practice with the slide. Again, we want you to do it together so you learn from each other during this group time. Then we want to make sure you make a plan. In your workbooks, we've added a column B on your glossary tab. Use that to divide up the words. So if you've got 2 people in a group, you might each have 4 words. If you're assigned a word, you're going to find images for those words, and you're going to add the image info to the workbook. Then you take that information and you're going to complete the slide for your assigned words, unless your group decides to divide it up differently. It's up to you. Any questions? That was a lot, I know. All right. I think we can, everyone's quiet.
Something. but it's really cool.
I do. Every time we do this, I'm learning something. I'm gonna have to, something weird happened to my slides. I've had a few really weird things this week.
Maybe you have a
doing
poltergeist.
videos.
Um,
Session.
Mary, this week I was 15 minutes late, but I actually started 15 minutes early, but I never got an email with the Zoom link. And when I tried to use the original Zoom link, it wouldn't work.
Okay,
That's because, sorry.
you go
That's
ahead.
You registered for only the first session. So when you re-registered for today's session and the next session, now you have access.
Okay, great.
It should work now.
I think we'll send out the reminder, when we send out the reminder, that if you don't have a link, or if you don't know that you registered for the third session, that you can re-register, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's nice to have a fresh Zoom link.
My computer's doing something really weird. Jeff, so I don't know, I can show the slides from here, but it's not letting me do the presentation mode. So I
That's
don't know if,
fine.
okay.
Hmm.
It's given me this, it's done it several times during this session. It says it's reloading something and then takes me back, but anyway.
They chatted poltergeist.
Oh gosh, probably. Gremlins, poltergeist, whatever. Time for the weekend, right? How did it go, guys? I saw some great work going on in the groups. All right, Jeff, did you want me to talk about what's in Google Classroom?
I think it's helpful just so people know where the things are.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go to Classroom and show you guys. By now, your assignment should have shown up. This is the classwork page. Remember, you have to go back to session 1 to pick up your workbooks, unless you use find it on your drive. Session 2, you've got the project examples. You've got the slides from today, which hopefully will behave better for you. Slide decks for the groups. You're already working in your slides, and you have 2 assignments. This really helps us. This is to create a Wakelet account. You're going to want to make sure you've done that before session 3. It's very important, or you're not going to be able to work in the Wakelet. But we need to know ahead of time the email that you use to set this up. So if I open it, this assignment just says create a Wakelet account, respond to this by sending us the email address you use to create the account. And then that way we'll be able to share those Wakelets with you ahead of time and save those. I was telling Zara, I'm learning the value of a minute because it can make a difference in being on time. And then in this assignment number 2, this is just the work that we want to try to complete between session 2 and session 3. This is from session 1. A lot of you had already done down to learning chocolate. The only thing more you do in your workbook is define those images and add the information in your workbook, and then complete the slides. And hopefully you with your groups were able to divide those words up. Any questions about that? And remember, your learning resources are on that classwork page where the pink brain is. I love that. So this just summarizes the assignments I just went over. So you got it in 2 different places. When you do finish your slides, like if you all divided them up, when you're finished with your slides, it helps us to know. So if you just help me remember, it says mark is done. That's what you're going to put in, is mark is done. Remember the office hours, and remember that our session 3 is on June the 29th. And we'll send out a prompt to make sure that you've got that Zoom link. It'll be the same one you used today. You can put it on your calendar for that day if you want, but don't be afraid to write us and ask us and we'll get that for you. Remember your badges for contributions that you're making to this project. And I'm going through the chat. Have I missed anything?
No, there was just the one question. I might as well say it out loud that if you already have a Wakelet account, please just go to the assignment and again, share the email that is used for your Wakelet account, because you're going to be in a template that we've already created, and we'll be adding you as a collaborator via whatever email account is used for your Wakelet account. So that's the way that you'll get access to your specific topic Wakelet.
All right. Any questions? Anybody need more time before we end the meeting? You guys have been great. All the rooms I went in, I didn't jump in if Jeff was already in there. So if I missed you, I'm sorry, but I know all the ones I did jump into, some great work going on. Thank you guys. We really do
Same for
appreciate it.
Bison. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Everyone, have a good weekend.